I was in Walmart. It was 1999. I was in there with my son Dalton and my wife at the time. We went into the store there to just pick up a few things, and I wasn't crazy about walking through the grocery store part of Walmart, so I had said to Lori, I'm just going to go back to the back list of sporting goods and hardware stuff. And so I walked back that way. So I walked back to the sporting goods and hardware, and I'm looking around and doing my thing. I was back there about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Figured she'd be done shopping by that time, so I started making my way back over to the grocery department and met her about halfway and started talking, and then I noticed, where's Dalton? And she said, well, I thought he went with you. And I said, no, I thought he stayed with you. And of course, her first response, which is what most people do with me, is, okay, be serious. Don't joke about it. And I said, I wouldn't joke about it. I thought he was with you. We realized the dog was lost. He was missing. Panic took over me. And I began running through that store, up and down the aisles, pushing people out of my way. I knocked over a couple of shopping carts because people wouldn't move. And I'm screaming for Dalton, Dalton! And she's panicking, almost to a state of being frozen, just a state of paralysis. And I'm running through the store, and I go by her, and she's still in the same spot. I had left her, and I said, get to the service desk and have them do an announcement. And she made her way over, and they did a code Adam. And they locked the store down, and I'm running, looking for my son. Oh, dear God, don't let my son be gone. Where is my son? Where's my son? I made lap after lap after lap. I ran back into the warehouse part. I ran into areas of that store that I wasn't supposed to be in, but there wasn't a place in the store that I wasn't going to look for my son. I don't care if it said do not enter, whatever, under arrest. I don't care. Arrest me. But I got to find my boy. I was in an absolute state of panic. I was standing in the very back part of the store, and I was trying to figure out, what do I do next? What do I do now? And up in front of me, coming down the aisle, was this herd of people. And I didn't know what to make of it. People kind of parted. And there, behind them, was my little red-headed boy. I showed people out of the way, and I reached down and I grabbed that little guy an ice cream, and I'm bawling away. And of course, you know, his mom shows up. It's just this. I was lost. He was just missing. He was lost. Thank God for his promise. Because later I found out that a person found my son walking around the store. They took him by the hand and was leading him out of the store. They had made it just to the beginning of the parking lot. And his babysitter just so happened to be coming into Walmart that day and saw Dalton and knew that the lady that was with him wasn't related to us. She grabbed him and brought him in. An experience that I would never have done real living. I'm sure you would never want to do it. For real. All our 54 are you. I remember hearing that theme song on the TV. For some of you youngins, you have no idea what that is. But the title is very melodic. R54, where are you? Police department. We talk a lot, say a lot of times about missing things. Things are missing. Things are lost. And we immediately put to those things, we give them the classification of missing or being lost, that they're gone, they've somehow disappeared. They're no longer in existence. Right? But what if I tell you? Just because you're missing doesn't mean you're lost. And just because you're lost doesn't mean you're missing. Think about it. We go to the scripture. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. This verse comes to us from the account of Zacchaeus. Now, the Christians of the time, the Pharisees and those, they would look at Zacchaeus as someone who is just lost. And they would have written him off. They would have just, in a sense, excommunicated him. The Greek word that's used here where Jesus talks about the lost is apollomi. I know you would use this in a conversation somewhere else. That's fine. Apollomi. And this word means destroy, or perish, or separated from its proper place. It's interesting in that because when Jesus says that he's come to seek and save the lost, he is speaking directly to those who are in a place of separation and are perishing. And he has come to save the lost. There are other parables where we talk about the lost sheep and the lost coin. Let me just try and get to the meat of this, if I can. There's no one lost in the eyes of God. Now think about that for a second. Chew on that. Because our mind immediately goes to a theological thought process, right? If we know that apoleo me means perished or destroyed or separated from a place that they're supposed to be, they're gone. And I say, well, in the eyes of God, no one is lost. Well, is that contradictory, Pastor? Are you being heretical? Are you lining up with some of the other bozos that stand behind the pulpit that says everybody's going to heaven? No, I'm not saying that. What I want to demonstrate to you is that we have a perception of lostness or missing, but in the eyes of God, there's a difference of lostness and missing. It doesn't change the fact that if we are lost, that we are perishing. That we are in a place heading to destruction. But here's the thing. The only one that has lost anything, lost their awareness, understanding where they are, is us, not God. If we were to say, God doesn't know where we are, there's a huge theological problem there. Don't you think? If we say that God doesn't know where I am, I'm lost, I'm a sinner, my sin is covering me, and God can't see me because of my sin, we have negated the omniness of God. God's all-powerful, all-knowing, and ever-present. There's not one place in this world you can be that God doesn't know where you are. Sinner or saved. What's it mean to be lost? It means we don't know where we are. We have lost our orientation. We've lost our compass. We've lost the understanding of finding true north. Did you know that on a compass there is north and then there's true north? It's magnetic north, true north. Did you know that? And depending on where you are in the world, if you have a compass and you're going by the compass, you don't do anything else to this compass but other than just pick it up and shoot your azimuth, even if you set it at north on that. Depending on where you are in the world, if you don't allow for that, we call it degradation, you won't go north. You won't get to the place that you think that you're going because you have to make an adjustment to allow for the change in true north and magnetic north. What do you mean by that, Pastor? You see, it means that though we set our personal compass, our moral compass, our upbringing to north, right? I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to pay my taxes. I'm not going to kick the dog. I'm not going to smack my wife as much or smack my wife. You know, we try to do all these things, and we set our personal compass at north. If we have not set our compass to the true north, to true God, and follow the God, the only God, we are always going to be off the mark. When I was a kid, I read all kinds of books. I love to read books about Davy Crockett. and Daniel Boone, Simon Kenton, and I was going to say David Bowie, but Samuel Bowie. David Bowie came later, Tom. And there's this one element of Daniel Boone that stood out to me, and I thought is absolutely so cool. Daniel Boone was known to be this great frontiersman. He could navigate all over the United States. And he was in Kentucky once, his home place, and there was a group of people that come up to him, and they said, Mr. Boone, have you ever been lost? In all of your travels and searching for this and for that, have you ever been lost? And Daniel Boone replied, no, I've never been lost. But I've found myself several times in places that I hadn't planned to be in. Have you ever found yourself in a place you hadn't planned to be in? You were mistaken in, you're going to take a left, you're going to take a right. You ever found yourself in that spot? I have. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. A pretty crooked tax collector. And Jesus points out to him in this passage something that demonstrates the compass. Zacchaeus is navigating by his compass, and he has set it to what he believes is north. And the liquid that moves the bezel of his compass is his understanding that he is a descendant of Abraham. And so as he and others believed, well, since I am in the lineage of Abraham, I'm a part of God's chosen people, my compass is set on that, and so I'm okay. I'm not lost. I'm not missing. I'm on track because the liquid in my bezel, or moving my bezel, is pointing me to my heritage. Zacchaeus didn't realize that he was in a place that he hadn't planned on being. And Jesus calls him out on that. Not overtly, not confrontationally. Oh, Zacchaeus, you sinner, you scorning people. No, Jesus just says to Zacchaeus, hey, I know you're in the wrong place. And I know that you think that you're in the right place. And I know that you're in the wrong place. Come let me show you where you should be. That's what him. There is no other place than to be in that. I was speaking to my brother today. He said a couple of things that I think a lot of us in this room will say. And I believe it's time that we stop saying these things. Let me just get to that point. Speaking. Adam is trying to explain why he got upset and why he does some of the things he does. And of course, I want to use the same excuse that he uses. I mean, it can fit, it can apply, but I don't want to. It bothers me now. And it's this. When I called Adam out on something, he said, well, you know, I'm a Jones. And that's what we Joneses do. That's got to stop. That's no different than Zacchaeus, who thinks he has his compass set. Hey, you've heard me speak about my dad. I love my dad. I held my dad in great respect and high esteem, but my dad did things that I didn't like. And I tried very hard to not be like my dad in some of those things. Not because I don't love him or didn't like him, but there were things finally as an adult that I saw that my father was doing that I did not want to duplicate, that I didn't want to put into my children and raise them up or use it to affect other people. And it's a fight. It is a fight for me to not act like a Jones. We have this awful characteristics that if you offend us, if you would tick us off in some way, you are dead to us. Now, if I were to be like how pastoral would that be? Walking around having odds with everybody? If I were to choose to operate by that navigation system, I would be lost. And I would be missing from the fold of Jesus. You can turn on the radio and listen to songs that have been written about lost and lonely and missing. There's one that came to my mind as I was scribbling this out the other day. It was written and sang in 1960 by Roy Orbison. Old Roy. My glasses were darker, I kind of looked like him, right?
Yes.
Thanks, Peggy.
Yes.
Boy, he's an ugly dude.
Yes.
Here's that famous song from 1960, which in 1982, the I had to get down to the Only the lonely. Only the lonely. Only the lonely know the way I feel. Only the lonely know this feeling ain't right. There goes my baby. There goes my heart. They're gone forever. So far apart. But only the lonely know why. I cry. Only the lonely. Only the lonely. Only the lonely. Only the lonely know the heartaches I've been through. Only the lonely know I cry. I cry for you. Wait just a minute. Now Roy jumped up into the 2000s. This is the song that we all sing. Not literally. I mean, some of us do. I mean, Don was just about to break out and dance there. You know, just in the old Roy Orbison thing. We all, at some point or some time, have exclaimed, I'm so lonely. And we have to ask ourselves this question, why am I so lonely? Am I lost? Am I missing? Has people forgotten about me? Do people not want anything to do with me? Have I ostracized people? Have I pushed people away? What's the reason? Why do I feel so lonely? It is because our compass is broken. We are living in a state of lostness. And we think in a martyr's mindset that it's to let people miss us, because if they miss us, well, then they'll reach out to us and say, oh, I love you, where you been? But you know what? People's minds don't always work that way. They don't always think that way. But in reality, we should. I go back to my son in Walmart. If we truly love one another, if we truly stand before one another as a church and affirm, I am your brother, I am your sister, I love you, call me anytime you need me, right? Got my phone right by the bed. You call me. I don't care if it's 3 in the morning. No, I do care, but I'm there. It might take me a little bit to answer. Anyway. But it's time to stop the lip service. We got to stop acting like we work for Hallmark, and we just have to say all the right things, all the wishy-washy, blubbery nonsense. Why don't we just be real? Why don't we be real? Because we know there are people in our world, in our midst, that are lonely. And why are they lonely? Because they're lost and or missing, or they feel like they are. Shouldn't we be running to them? Shouldn't we tear down any obstacle that gets in our way when someone is separated from us? You would if it was your own child. There's no hesitation in that, right? If it were your child that came up missing, they were lost in Walmart, you'd be tearing everything and excuse me, Jared. You'd be tearing everything down you could to get to them, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want them to be lost. Because you don't want them missing in your life, right? Car 54, where are you? We are Car 54. Where are you? We should be running to people instead of running away from people. We got to be willing to help people with their compass. The compass points to Jesus and only Jesus, not the world. Because the world will distort us and misshape us and discourage us and despair us, and it will destroy us. But only the person of Jesus Christ can make you found. He can satisfy the needs of loneliness. Here's one for you. Came out in 2008. That's Green Day.
Yeah.
I only like 1 or 2 Green Day songs.
Yeah.
And I had a son that liked them, so I heard them all the time. I walk a lonely road. The only one that I've ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me. And I walk alone. I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams, where the city sleeps, and I'm the only one, and I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk alone, I walk alone, I walk alone. My shadow is the only one that walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating me. Sometimes, I wish someone out there will find me. Till then, I'll walk alone. Watching Nate, he could have probably sang that for us. Isn't that sad? There are people in our world, there are people in our midst that feel that they are walking alone. Now, whose fault is that? That's a double-edged sword question. Whose fault is that? Well, it could be my fault. I could be doing something pastoral or whatever that makes people feel you're over there and I'm over here. That's them. This is me. And if you're already in my club, then you're not part of any club. church, we are a family. Right? Donna Summer, we are a family.
Sister Sledge. Nice
Or is
try.
that the Pointer Sisters?
Sister Sledge.
Sister Sledge. Write this down, I screwed it up. But thank you for embarrassing me in front of everybody today. It's a sad thing. When people feel they're alone. We have to ask the question, what am I doing that's causing someone to feel alone? Am I not helping them with their degradation and their compass? Am I allowing them to just wander through the wilderness on their own, thinking that they have the navigation they need, but in reality they don't? I'm okay with that? Or are we going to see and to listen to people and we run to them? Because I got news for you. Just like the woman who tried to take my son out of Walmart, Satan is going to come in and he's going to try to take you by the hand and he's going to say, come with me. That is lost. That is lost. That is when all hope is gone, when you allow Satan to drag you to the depths of hell. So we have to ask ourselves, first and foremost, when we see people or hear people who are lonely, who are struggling, who need, we have to ask ourselves, what am I doing? Am I ignoring them? Am I pushing them off? Am I just rolling my eyes because, they're hyperbolic? But then those of us that say we're lonely, we really have to ask ourselves the question, why am I lonely? Why do I feel like I'm separate when I sit in a room full of 100 people? Why? Why is that? What am I doing? Have I chosen to be lost? Do I like the feeling of being lost because I think I'm going to get more attention? We've all been there, haven't we? We've all played the martyr game. I mean, guys, our wives have a hard time believing this when we get sick. We are so deathly ill. When a man gets sick, it is far worse than childbirth. I mean, come on, ladies. It's time for you to understand how it's scary. Sorry, Tom. I can see Sherry. I'll make this sick. What if we took the same attitude with everyone that we would take with a child came up missing? Isn't that what we're supposed to do as a Christian? Car 54, where are you? Your car 54. Here's one last illustration of that I will share with you. Okay? You show up in car 54, but you're not the driver. You're not driving. God is. God knows exactly where to go. You see, that's what I'm saying. In a human's eyes, there is missing and there is lost. And we associate it with they disappeared, they're gone off the face of the earth. But in reality, they are somewhere. Matter of fact, they are right where they are. And God knows that. God knows where they are. There is no lostness or missingness in God. He knows where you are. And I think that's what brings our anxiety. That's what brings our grief, is because we know we're not where we're supposed to be, and we are experiencing what lostness is, and that is being separated from the person of Jesus Christ. Unified in Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And we are going to experience loneliness. We are going to experience bitterness because we're not where we're supposed to be. The thing that makes it most sad for us is we know where we should be. We know where we should be. Last illustration, and I'll shut up now. when I put that in writing. I don't know, about 10 years ago, it was the fall of the year, and the gutters on the house needed cleaning. Now, I'm a typical male who doesn't like to move the ladder, right? You know, you put the ladder up, you can reach about yay far, and you have to come back down, move the ladder. I don't do it now. I get up on the roof, and I stand on the edge, and I clean the gutters out, and I throw the debris in the yard, which also gets me in trouble because I'm throwing all that nonsense in the yard. So this fall, that fall specifically, I'm up on the roof and I'm cleaning the gutters out, you know, into the front, into the back, come down off the roof, you know, I'm feeling accomplished because one thing on the honey-do list that got marked off. Yay, good for me, I won't be lonely now. Well, there was 20 other things on the honey-do list that I didn't do, so I'm still lonely. But anyway, come down and take a shower, and we decide we're going to get something to eat. I get dressed, right? Go to my little table where I take my watch off and put all my stuff, you know, what we do, guys. I don't put all the things in there, and then I like, I don't want. I have lost. My wallet is missing. Sheer panic, right? I tear the house down. Tear it up. I'm in parts of the house I've never been in. I'm looking for my wallet. I look through Vicky's dresser drawers. That's beyond any issue. I looked for this wallet for a week. Everywhere. In my car. At the church. I even stopped at places along the road that I thought maybe I subconsciously reached in my pocket and threw it out the stupid window. I'm looking and looking and looking. I can't find it. I finally decided, oh, okay, I got to go get my new wallet, you know. I gotta go get a new driver's license, my social security card, blah, 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 blah. So I decided to go down over the hill into our woods to burn off some steam. So I'm cutting some wood and working, and I start walking back up the house. And I'm looking at the house, and I'm like, oh, we got some shingles falling off. Great! Vicky sees that, another honey-do list. I'm walking and walking, and I'm just looking at this spot. I can't believe this. More shingles. I get closer and closer, and finally